Uh, I took my luggage. I have a lot of things to show. Marhaba, أنا كتير مزبوط كون معكم اليوم. I try to do my best. Actually, in 20 minutes, it's very difficult to talk about 5 years of work and life, because this project changed my life, as it changed life of kids and people around me who became friends. I just want you to focus on this logo, who have been drawn by a Syrian graphist, an old man. And I'm sure you know the signification of this logo. This logo is in this box of calligraphy. I produced this edition of calligraphy just a couple of months ago after 5 years of work. I developed a novel. I created a fable, like a novel to talk about how to highlight the heritage of communities. And I start by a country or an area in the Middle East I really know since 2002, Syria, Lebanon, and north of Jordan. But before to show you all of this project and a few parts of this, I just want you to focus really on this logo. And if someone knows what does it mean, he can keep the box at the end, which an edition. Loyauté. Lulu, you know better than me. Lulu means the pearl, and the T, it's what you have in Arabic that we don't have in the Western world. It's a strongness of affection. When you say, for example, Hayati, for you it's easy. Sometimes you can say Habibti to a taxi driver. But for a Westerner like me, the first time I heard Hayati, I discovered the real meaning, the real power of this word. It's very intense. We don't have this like my life. We don't call anyone my life in the common days. But it's very strong, and I start to learn your language with a lot of difficulties. I try again and again, days after days. And this is the beginning of the story. So, do you know that the too near is often inaccessible? That the too visible to us becomes invisible? We are blind. We are focusing on super, mega, visible things. But we miss the most important, the ordinary things of life. Do you know that the tiny things can prompt the most vivid memories? A small things of nothing from ordinary life. All these most apparently futile and simple things around us may have an invaluable value in our societies. We can laugh about the candies. In my Western world, when I decide to create a candies, people laugh. But when you know the real meaning of ordinary things, the things you can share, the things of daily life you can find everywhere in a table, that brings a real meaning of the powerful language. Do you know that an item like a candies possesses like more than 10,000 occurrences of synonyms? It's very particular and it's universal. And in this globalized world, I discover a new way of thinking the unity. And this unity, I prefer to see it through diversity and not to live anymore in a globalization, uniformization about the world, around the world. Because if we wear all the same jeans, at the end, we have nothing to say, we have nothing to share. Which is most important is to share our difference and to find the keys that we have in common, which makes the unity and which makes the shareable strongness. And I use this candy for it. So I decided to write this novel. What have you found out so far? It's printed out like a few months ago. It's 10 chapters. And 10 chapters about these candies, but never judge a book by its cover, or a candies by its taste, or its shape, or its function. And this is the last chapter I decide to show you. This is the achievement of many years. It's a wheel. You can turn it, and I ask more than 15,000 people to put some message inside. People from the world. It was in Paris. And after this, you can see this little video, but we are gonna pass very fast this video. It's 8 minutes, so you could see it after, say, 2 minutes after.
Your minutes will become hours.
So you see it's a prayer wheel, but it's a wish wheel. So I collect since many years words from people who have wishes about their heritage, about to collect heritage words. And I start by collecting the candy heritage about Soria. I collect more than 500 postcards written by kids from camp in north of Lebanon at the borders, and also people from Syria around the world. And I learn a lot about the meaning of pastry and candies, which is very important, because when you have nothing, the most little things can have real meaning, and especially when you are kids. After few years of taking small steps in research, focus and practice, the project Le Bruit des Bonbons, the sound of candies, that I heard in little street in Damascus, Aleppo, Homs, in the souk. You know the candies that you can hear in the trolley, who linked each areas from each street. This is a trolley who bring word item, but link item. So I work on object and the symbolic value of object, more than the use value. Because in this consumeristic world, we learn to be very functionalist, utilitarist. We value the utilitarianism, but I work on the symbolic value. And candies can bring a lot of memories. It can be shareable by everyone around the world, which is very important. I worked on the magical statue of everyday object through the creation of new word object, sculpt in traditional pink, sugary, the Loyauté candy serves the function of extending time and memory in order to safeguard the future. Because nobody can forget the past. We don't have the right to forget the past, our heritage. We have to continue to think about our heritage and to bring this heritage into the future. Because this is the strongness of the future. The future does not exist without the past. And even the most narrow-minded people who think only about the future and want to forget the past, how they can forget the past if they don't know it? So, for me, it's very important to focus on the past to safeguard the future, the upcoming future, and to keep our particularities inside the global world. This sculpture awakes the ability to see the necessity to protect our heritage, to be able to share it. So I start to fly my dream, when I see all these people in a camp, Syrian camp, Sunni camp, in the Lebanon borders. And I said to myself, how I can do my bit? How I can highlight the love of sharing things. You know, this shareable things that you have in the Middle East. The respect of family, the connection in between all people inside the family, the way of eating, the way of sharing time. And I heard in the last, with the last speaker, the time to rest. In the Western, from the Greek-Roman antiques, we call it otium. We make an opposition, it's Aristotle, but whatever, we make an opposition in between the otium time and the negociation. So there is the negotium, which means negotiate. So there is the valuable linked to the market, and there is the otium linked to the peace, to the rest, to the sink. And this is the candy, the Loyauté, shaped by million, because I start to produce million of candies to do my huge installation around Europe. I start by some places. So at the beginning, I start to give it for free because it's a shareable item, and I didn't want to have to introduce the market inside. So I produce with my own, and I share these candies. This candygraphy. I call it candygraphy. It's simple. You have a candy. It's an original piece of art. If you don't believe me, believe if I make these same candies in gold, maybe you will believe it's art. Or if I do it in brass. What is the difference in between sugary and gold? Because if the most ordinary things can have the most invaluable power, I think I provoked this world by making the world of art, the financial work of art, by making these simple candies. Because I do art for people, and I can touch the kids as a grandfather or grandmother that I saw in London. So this is a postcard, an extraction of postcard I collect from Arabic people, mainly from Syria. And after this exhibition, I wanted to tell you about the shape. The shape is the shape inspired by the high idol It's a mysterious Mesopotamian archetype discovered in the beginning of the 20s, in 1937, if my memory is well, discovered by Max Mallowan, who was the husband of Agatha Christie. But whatever, it comes from near Iraqi, near a flat in the area of Tel Brak. But we can find it also in the south and in Lebanon borders. So I use this little shape because it looks like a UFO. We don't know what is this function, what is its function or is symbolic. We don't know. So there is a fight in between historian, geologist, anthropologist. So in the book of 400, you have some people from the Louvre write about this high idol. So I decided to use it just to highlight an heritage, which is considering as one of the most international world heritage. That it is the same for Al Ula that we have, that you have in Saudi, and you have also some other many great archaeological things and Islamic things here. So I'm writing now about a new project around Saudi. So what I'm doing after bringing a billion of candies to make exhibition, to talk about heritage, to talk about the losses of people displaced, I bring nothing. I just talk. So I decide to introduce the possibility to make an edition, a multiple. We call it multiple in art because you know the first artist who created multiple editions was Joseph Beuys. And I decided to create an edition of the Loyauté. And the name was the candigraphy. The candigraphy means an edition of an original sculpture because it's a candy sculpture. So it's an art piece, but affordable. I can spread it around the world, which I'm doing now. And the candigraphy, it's the same for Picasso painting. You have the original, and after you have the lithography. So I decided to create a lithography of a candy, so a candigraphy. And now I created more than 10,000, and I make distribution around the world through museums. I sell also this edition to companies for different moments of the year, and I keep a percentage to do my own actions. I always did my own actions before, and I call it We Are Change, because stop talking, start to act. But how? So I try to find my way to act because I did not find a way before. I was talking, and beside of my talk and my art, I was helping friends. I was helping some families in a camp, but I never told anyone. But now I start to tell because I need also to find a way to continue to help some people. And this is my way to continue. It changed my privacy because I did a lot from my privacy, but it changed a lot. I changed my life. It was a real impactful on me, and I used all of I had to promote this action. So I had also for me to find a way to continue. So that's why I did this calligraphy. And so this is the archaeology from Syria, the high idol, the shape. So this is also the installation I did in different places in Europe or in contemporary art institution. So I bring also this idea to, it's important because like an utopist, you know, during the Renaissance period, you had a lot of thinkers who was author, mathematician, artist. And I think nowadays we are living the same. We cannot define, according to me, our generation or the upcoming generation as people who will get only one job in their life, will be only one. I think we are all able to be multipotential, which is not pretentious at all. It just, we are interested by a domain, and we can be one day a professor, one day an artist, and the other day a filmmaker. So this new generation, this upcoming generation for me is a multipotentialist potential. They have this way of thinking. So when we work on about utopia, I decide to bring the fiction, my dream, to bring this, to make this billion of candies out of my art and bring into the reality. Because this candies does not have any reality. So I bring these candies back in the history. I give them an heritage. For example, I did this manipulation in the MoMA museum. So you can see a candy heap of Loyauté with the Picasso painting. And after 5 years, I was invited by Pompidou Center in Brussels, the Canal Pompidou Center, and I did a huge form. It's some crate of candies ready to go, ready to fly around the world. So I did some monolith as a sculpture, ready to spread around the world, to highlight the heritage from an area around the world, and also we can have an impact because I can get some incomes to do my own, my own work with camp. I also work with sometimes with NGO, but sometimes. So this is a way of doing. So I start by the fiction, and after I bring the fiction into the reality. And after this, it becomes more universal. During this period, I did a film. It's called The Bruit des Bonbons. And I met this little girl, Lulu. Because in the camp, in the Syrian borders, or in a street, sometimes you have a lot of kids, and you don't know their name. And people call them Lulu. So I create my candies before to meet Lulu. And I decided to make a film on Hanani's family and a film about this powerful and strongness of sculpture, about time. Okay. Maybe. So this is just the teaser, and I invite people because during the few next days, you could see the film of 20 minutes in the cinema. So this is Lulu. So in Lulu, when I met her, she was in a camp, and now with the incomes I get, what I did with people also, she's out of the camp now, she goes to school, so we try to help just one family, and after other families. But if you do your bit, I did not expect to help 1,000 of people. I just wanted to help people who became part of my family as Hanadi's family. So now after 5 years, I can show you, so this is a slogan, I stand with dreamers. Slogans are nice, but they won't change anything. Action is the best way to make art that create change. So this is the first time I met Lulu. This is the pictures took by my friend Céline. Lulu is the little girl with short hair. And after many years, she became a little girl, and now she's still living in the north of Lebanon. So this is another installation where in London, where I force people to remove their shoes to enter in this place, like you enter in a home of Hanadi's home or Said, Hatnan. For me, it was important to remove the shoes and to give 20 minutes of your time and not to be a passive consumerist, passive consumers of eating art without questioning anything. So I forced people in a way, and I said, if you want to see the film, take your time, take 20 minutes of your time to listen these people. And this is, it was a room that I imagined for the French pavilion of London Internal. This is another installation. This is a vending machine. When people goes out of the room of the film, they could get the possibility to buy a sachet of candies, and we got some incomes, and I could help 4 families. So I try to make action into performance, but to be tangible also. So this is the candy can, the candygraphy, the Loyauté Original Unlimited. And this is a smile of Lulu, and the mold of cake that Said took when she quit Soria. Her husband was very upset because she forgot to take the passport. But she went to the kitchen and said, but I took the mold to make some cakes for you. So it was very intense. Also in the film you have Hanadi. And when we talk about ordinary things, I just want you to remember that the ordinary things is the most important. Go back to your home. Find something you keep, the precious things or daily things that you see every day. And I'm sure you will find a symbolic value in this, which is very important. And never forget, besides the functional and the use, you have the strongness of memories, of symbolic things, which we never have to lose to make a sustainable world and with consciousness, an aesthetic consciousness. شكرا جزيلا.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Benjamin. Due to time, we have room for one question. So if we can light up the audience and see if anybody okay, we have a question up there on the far right corner. So please.
In Arabic, it's okay.
أستاذ بنجامين طلب منك تسأل السؤال بالعربي، فهو عنده المترجم الفوري ممكن يترجم له بالإنجليزي.
That's fine. طيب اوكي السؤال صراحه اذر ذان غير المشروع الجبار اللي قاعد يصير. سؤالي عن كيف ان شخص معين، هذا السؤال العام، يقدر يحول مشروع خاصه اذا ما كان هدفه ربحي الى درجه عالميه، الى درجه يقدر انه ينتقل الى معارض، يبدا يعني يسوي اشياء مثل اللي شفناها. كيف يستطيع يحقق هالشيء؟ ولا الكل عنده افكار؟
It's very emotional. Your question is very emotional for me because it's the first time I'm invited in Middle East. So for me it was very important also to show this work here because I feel more understand here than I am in Western. And why a French guy from Normandy will do it and change his life for 5 years? I don't know. I still don't know. I still don't know. Maybe because I saw the power of a culture, the kindness, the family heritage. I still don't know. It changed my life. I don't have anymore my apartment in Paris. I change of place. But maybe also because I saw all of these people trying to survive, to live with nothing. And you know, in this film, when you start to catch just the minimum, a little smile, you cannot go back to your home the same. It's very personal, actually. It's I don't know, but I didn't know how it will bring me. I just wanted to do something through my tools, and my tools is my art. And through my sculpture for museum, I wanted to do my own action. But how to do my own action without being tangible? Because a lot of artists, we are talking, but all the time we are not doing. And people said to me, yeah, but talking is already good. I'm not sure. It's too easy to talk, and I prefer to do. But how to do it right? How to do it without talking too much? So I try to talk in books. In these books, you have 10 chapters. This is a concept. And this is 400 pages where I invite people who loved Middle East, who loved the Arabic language. So it's I try to convince people to support me. And now I have to continue. I finished this story as an art pieces. So maybe it's the first time that how to create a novel as art. It's because nobody reads anymore. So I wanted to change my words into art, and my sentences into installation. Because for me, a sculpture has to be narrative. So I use all of my tools to do it, but also because I'm loving this area. I feel home. So I don't know why. Nobody knows. But I feel good. Yeah.
Thank you so much for feeling like our home is your home. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here
you.
with us. And thank you for the beautiful work you do. It was a pleasure to see.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.